Bits, and then we'll get to you. I guess the other girl isn't here or she's not coming. That's why I brought my horse just in case. Okay, so I guess we'll get started. Most of y'all I know, but some of them don't, so I'm going to just kind of give a little spiel about me. I hate doing this part, understand that. Even though I sound cocky, I hate talking about myself. So, my name is Charlotte Overton, and I'm the C in J&C Bits. The J didn't come today because he was making bits for the BFA, so we could still function and make money. So, that's Jason Pendergast, and Jason, he's welded for 30 years, and he runs an aggregate company and has run corporations in the world. So he's kind of the manual reader, so he's the researcher behind everything on our bits. We kind of started this conquest about January, and our leverage bit was born due to the fact that I had a paint horse that I just couldn't find the right thing for. And talking to other bit makers, I really couldn't get the answers that I wanted or needed. Oh, good, more people. I thought I was going to be the only one here, so I was like, well, I'll practice on my speeches. Yeah. So if y'all come on in, I won't call you out, I promise. I won't embarrass anyone. Normally I do that enough for everyone. So, we start tour in January. I run barrels for pretty much all, pretty much all my life. So, my mother was a trainer, my dad was a trainer, both of them trained barrel horses and broken horses all around. My mother's a Texas certain qualifier. She has since passed away. My dad still lives in California and Arizona, and he still trains barrel horses. So, basically, I was born, I guess you could say, on the back of a barrel horse or training a barrel horse. And my first big horse that you probably would have known, was Orange Smash. I won the BFA World Championships on him in 1995 with the cow pants, if anybody's seen it. I'm pretty old, so that kind of dates me a little. He also went to the NFR with Martha Josie. So he's kind of the biggest one. Since then, I won over about $1,000. That's not a lot nowadays because there's a lot of slot races. NFR plays a lot. My main professional career was in the 90s and the early 2000s. I've since slowed down for the public anymore. I mainly just train my own horses, and with the bit company, I've even slowed down doing more than that. I have rheumatoid arthritis, so I can't ride very many horses anymore because I'm kind of crippled. I mainly abused my body and didn't think I'd live as long as I have. So, needless to say, I've got a few bumps and bruises like we all do when I'm nervous. So that's kind of the spiel with me, kind of the spiel with Jason. Like I said, we started this venture. I had a paint horse that was pretty strong. They let him, he was a little overbroken a bit, a little heavy in the front end, real droppy. And talking to other bit makers, I really couldn't get the answers nor the bits that I wanted or needed. And so Jason went in, we had a bunch of stuff because we were going to start helping a bit maker make his bits, but we just kind of were stuck there. He didn't really call on us like we thought he was going to. So anyway, he said, what do you need? So he built a leverage bit. And this horse was real strong, but if you put anything on his head that made him mine, he would get real resentful of it. Shake his head, and open his mouth. He was a pretty big face horse. And so when I discussed mouthpiece size with, that's going to come into play on this story too. So the leverage bit was born. And I went and put it on. And it's one of the best bits I think I've ever put on a horse. We should have called it an all-around bit. And we'll get to why I think so. Because the's a lot more than just, it looks like a lifter bit when you look at it, but it is a little bit to a certain point, depending on the shape and breed. But the hip and rib control that you get out of this bit is absolutely amazing. And the different mouthpieces that we offer also causes a horse to be very comfortable, because I want my horses to be comfortable. I want them to be focused on their job, and I don't want them to be focused on not comfort in their mouth or not comfort in doing their job, because if they get distracted, they're not going to pay attention to what you're asking them to do in the arena, especially going as fast as we ask them to go. So I'm going to talk about a couple of things, and it's going to sound like a sales tactic. Trust me, it's not. Everything we do is research on these bits. So let me tell you kind of the all-around J&C bit, no matter what it is, leverage bit, mojo bit, junior cap, ring bit, anything, including our hackamores. Everything has been researched, and they're made this way for a reason. Okay, so I'm going to hold this up where y'all can see it. So the first thing, when you look at the shanks, they kind of come out like this. And I'm going to show you, bring him over here, Pat. This is Pat Foreman. She's going to be my guinea pig today. So when you look at this horse right here, he has this cheekbone right here. There's a bone right here. And you got to understand, all these horses like this, they're sensitive, no, it's not. They're sensitive to light. Because it's all mainly bones, these nerves are extremely sensitive. And if they're sensitive to light, so anything you put in their mouth, they're going to be ultra sensitive. I know, I don't have a cookie. Anyway, so we've got a cheekbone right here on the side of this horse's face. It comes down and it kind of comes out before it goes up to his, kind of goes like this. So when you look at this bit, you can see that it's contoured to his face right here. So you're right, what does that mean to me? Okay, well here's what it means. And so when you ask this bit to come around like this, on a regular straight up and down shank, what that's going to do is that's going to hit that bone. And like I said, horses' faces are very sensitive to light, so anything like this hitting them suddenly could cause negative behavior, what we think is negative behavior, head throwing, head shaking, stuff like that. So that's the first thing. Now, when you look at the mouthpiece, well, let's go back to the shank here. When you look at the shank right here, all of this shank is made out of stainless steel, including this bit sleeve right here, and including where the bit ties into the shank. And what does that mean to me? Well, it doesn't rust. You do not want these shanks to be made out of cold rolled steel. And I know there's a lot that do it, and they rust really bad. And the reason is because if this rusts right here and it doesn't move freely, then your bit is not going to function properly. So those expensive bits that have cold rolled steel right here, which means that that's sweet iron, that's going to rust, and so your bit's going to hang. Or not function like it's supposed to, depending on the bit. If it's a ring bit, you want that ring to move. You want this ring to function freely and easy. And you know, you think, well, you know, that's not really, it might catch it just a tap, a tick. A tick could be 2 or 3 tenths off your run. So you want this bit to move functional. You want these shanks to be made out of stainless steel. Alright, so when you look at the mouthpiece, and it doesn't matter if it's broken, let me get this broken here. Doesn't matter if it's a broken or 3-piece, all of our mouthpieces are contoured. So, you can see this broken mouthpiece right here. It's contoured to this horse's mouth. Because the way a horse's mouth, they don't lay straight like this. The way their tongue lays is like this right here. And so you want this bit to lay over the top of their tongue, and you want it to lay real flush. If it doesn't lay real flush and it's straight across, what that does, even in a broken mouthpiece, it's going to hit the top of their roof of their mouth, and it's not going to function again and cause discomfort. The mouthpieces right here, not the cricket, okay? The mouthpieces are all made out of sweet iron. Sweet iron is a very good taste for a horse. Do they care whether it's stainless? You know, who knows? I mean, this horse can't talk to me, but I will tell you what I've found. A lot of horses that have been being rode in certain bits, you put them in one of my bits, I get on them and they're like, oh, they're very stiff, or they're like, oh, like this. And in 10 minutes, and this is the reason why I started the bit class again, and I'll get into that later, is 10 minutes I can have this horse doing everything I want him to, and he's like, oh, yes, whatever you want, I'll do it. And we're not getting the resentful behavior. Like stiffness, overreaction, shaking our head, stuff like that. And I think it has to do with 1, this is contoured, and 2, this is sweet iron. Now, the cricket, and where the cricket is made into this little dog bone, is stainless steel. And you gotta understand something, this is not a roller, it is a roller, but it's a cricket. So you can hear that, like that. Okay, there's a reason to people amuse me sometimes in the fact that I hear them go, that is the most annoying sound ever. Well, there's a reason why it makes noise. The old timers used to say that, and you have a lot of it, and these, my crickets are real big. They're about an inch wide here. You can see them right there. They're not small little copper. They're not made out of all copper, and there's a reason for that. Copper, it's a very soft metal, and if you have a copper, total 100% copper, it's going to wear out eventually because copper breaks down because it's a soft metal. So this one is made 50% out of bronze and 50% out of copper. So how does that help me, Charlotte? Well, sorry, I've got gnats here. How does that help me? Well, copper is really good for salivation. We want our horses to keep their mouths wet because we fight ulcers all the time. We're always trying to, horses who get ulcers, when you call them, they get stressed. So this is one of the things that will help with that, fighting that ulcer. You keep a horse's mouth wet, you keep him salivating, he's going to have a lot of, salivation down his stomach, so the stomach juices are not going to erupt as much. So the more he plays with this cricket, the better off. And old timers used to say that when they could hear this noise when they were working with horses and they were trying to teach them something, they start licking their lips, you can hear that noise. Also, with horses that have anxiety or have nervous energy, and you may not think, like this horse, he looks pretty cool right here, he's just like whatever, but I've had horses that when you put this in their mouth, they will not just roll it, they will zing it. And I will tell you, sometimes our horses, how we as people, we tend to be internal warriors. We may not show it on the outside, but we look like a duck on the water, and you look underneath and our legs are going 90 nothing. Same thing with our horses, and I think they hear this noise and it kind of diverts their attention away from the anxiety or something that causes stress. And they're athletes, we're asking them to do a very high adrenaline, very emotional type event here. So, what they do, if that just kind of helps them a little, and I found, and people have told me, I can tell my horse is real comfortable because he wants to just drop his head. He doesn't just, freeze up going to. So that helps some. Does it cure nervous? Probably not, but it's really good. And the dog bone is made out of stainless steel, so it doesn't rust either because you don't want that to rust and freeze up. You want it to keep moving, and you want the horse. I prefer 3 pieces. I have plenty of people on my sponsorship team that like 2 pieces. Is there anything wrong with it? No. I've always liked 3 pieces. One, because a lot of bits aren't contoured this way, and I just wanted them to be really flush over a horse's tongue. So I've always kind of wanted 3 pieces for me. And I like the rollers, and I like the copper, because I want my horses comfortable. I don't want them resenting me, because if they do, it's like going down the road. If your steering wheel is broke, nothing ain't gonna work right, and you're gonna have major problems. And I watch horses run barrel races. You can tell when they come up, they get real stiff, or they'll throw their head up, or whatever kind of behavior. We're gonna get into some of the reasons that I found later on, and I've trained horses all my life. So we get into different mouthpieces here. Now we went over my bit, how it's different from others on the market. How would I know a mouthpiece? What does each mouthpiece do? I get that question a lot. So let's talk about our mouthpiece. Okay, so I didn't bring the Hexagon. I don't use that Hexagon as much. There are horses. I find with Hexagon horses are love them or hate them. Our K2 Hexagon is a really good Hexagon in that, to me, it does. When you put a Hexagon on a horse, they're going to get stiffer. That's just the way they are. But with our Hexagon that we found, you get a lot more lift, a lot more come here, a lot more side pull. I don't bring it with me as much. One, we don't keep them in stock because I sell a bunch. But I really like it. It's got a lot of control. But I do find that there's people who they put them on their horse, it doesn't work that well for them. And then there's some horses that just absolutely love it. You have KK Rule. She rides pretty much everything Hexagon. I don't. If I can do a bit, I prefer a bit on a horse. But will I be against a Hexagon? Absolutely not. Okay, so look at the most severe. This is a slow square twist. And this right here, people look at this and they think, okay, I need that bit for control. Well, it works good good for training. I do use it. This one right here we call it the low damage bit, because you can sure enough get a lot of control out of this if you need it. However, what I do find with this slow square twist, and I caution people regularly on this slow square twist, even if it has a 3-piece with a cricket in it, is what I find is people get, you have to understand, when you run barrels, everybody does this, they get a little more heavy-handed when they run. I do, everybody does. You got adrenaline running through your body. Well, and the way I work, of course, is, and I find the slow square twist works really well for people who don't do this. Their horses come around the backside of the barrel on their own. They don't have to handle them. I like to handle my horses, because when I get on the backside, and you're going to see here in a minute, when I get to right, I'm going to ask the horse across. And what this bit does is it'll kind of lay on the lips a little bit or on the corners of the mouth. And you get elevation with this bit if you're not real careful. And I always caution people like that, because this mouthpiece I get back a lot. Now we got our twisted here. Twisted is good. I think a lot of people are used to a twisted, and I used to be a go-to person. And I will still put a twist on a horse, but I'm finding more and more my horses in the clinics don't like twists as much as I thought they did. But is there anything wrong with twisted? No, but on a twisted, you better make sure that mouthpiece fits your horse. We're going to talk about mouthpiece sizes here in a minute and why I think they're so important. Because most of the bits, 70% of the bits that I see in horses' mouth all have that mouthpiece in it. We're going to talk about why that is. Now, I didn't bring a chain. A chain is a great mouthpiece, but you have to understand it can also be just as severe as that slow square twist. I find a lot of horses that don't have the right mouthpiece size on, and this really floors me. I'm not sure why this is, but if the mouthpiece is too big or too small, they can get away with a chain in their mouth. Why that is, I don't know, because I think that chain can be, maybe it's because it lays contour to their mouth, I'm not sure. They can get away with it, and the horses seem to like a twist. Now, I mean a chain. How you know a chain is good? Look how it ties into the mouthpiece. If a chain is tied with a ring straight into this mouthpiece or into this shank, that's a no-no chain for me. And the reason is, and it's not like this. This has that bit sleeve on it right here. There's no relief for your horse on that chain. When we do ours all have a bit sleeve, and then there's a small little flat welded place right here. And then the chain starts in the mouthpiece. That to me is a way better chain. And I see a lot of people because, you know, cost of metal, cost of things, doing an extra weld can be expensive and more time consuming. So I see bit makers that do this, they put that chain with a ring and they roll it right through that ring and then weld it. So they got to do just a tick where the welding. To me, that right there is the worst mouthpiece you can put on a horse, because there's no forgiveness there on the corners of the mouth. The corners of the mouth are the most sensitive on a horse. Now we get into our Hexagon. Now this is my favorite mouthpieces right here that I have. Love these mouthpieces. We have a large mouth. It's a 5/16. It's 8-sided. It looks like a square when I send the pictures to people. But to me, and we can look at these closer, and y'all are welcome to come up and look at it if you want to. To me, this acts more like a smooth mouthpiece on a horse, but yet you still have control with it because it's 8-sided, but it doesn't have any bite to it that causes resentment. Hello? Okay. Every time I move my head wrong, maybe I'm not picking up the signal. I prefer these large hexagons, and they're kind of go-to with colts, young horses. This mare right here is 3. The older horse over there, he's 7. So I ride him with the same mouthpiece. So I like that bit because, like I said, it acts like a smooth, but you have the control you need. Now, we get into this, and it also comes in a small. The small has a lot more bite, as you can see. It's small. And we do offer square mouthpieces and all that, chain mouthpieces. We have a whole other slew that I didn't bring. I just kind of brought my bits that are my personal collection. So the small is really good. If you need it and they don't like the cord, this is what I'll put on them. And I don't have any problem with that small. It does have a lot of bite to it, but I don't get it back as with, this is called the large Hexagon. And it comes, this port comes in a twisted, it comes in a smooth, it comes in this large Hexagon, it comes in any other, I mean, we've done a chain. The problem is my welders don't like that chain. They're like, we hate chains with crickets. They like the straight chain, but they don't like the chain, but they still build them. And they're good. We've done a chain, and we make a nice chain with just a cricket in the middle of it too. That's kind of, I'm going to choose a chain that's going to be that one with that cricket. So we have the large Hexagon here with the port. Now, I'll tell you the reason why I like this port over other ports. When you get a big port, like a pretzel bit, like the pesca bit, those are good for training, and they give you a lot of control, but when you go to run, that big port is going to lay on the horse's tongue, and it's going to engage when you're asking them to come around, because they're not designed to be used like what I like to do around here like this. They're for control this way, back and forth, and like this. 14 roping, 4 roping, stuff like that. It's not engaged to come across because that port hits the top of their mouth, and you might get one good run, and then after that the horse gets real resentful of it. Because, you know, like I said, we get horses, and even we've trained horse forever. Whenever I've got to go up here and I've got a horse that's kind of wanting to fade in on me or fade out or not, or he sees something, or whatever the case, and I've got to handle him some, you have to be able to handle your horse. If you don't have the control and the positioning, and your horse is out of either one of those, if you don't have that help with your bit, then you're not going to get the reaction that you want. So you might get a lot of something, but it may not be everything that you need. And that is always the case that I've found in my training career. You know, you get a bit that's good for a lot of shoulder, a lot of rib control, then you finish or the snap you want on the back side. So that's why I like this. And it comes in a short, and this mouthpiece comes in everything. We even put in our ring samples, and people love this mouthpiece. Because you have the control, but you don't have the resentment in it. And I think that helps too a lot. And so I use this bit a lot, especially for horses that are wanting to dump over the front end, and they're wanting to get, and there's a reason why they do that, and we'll explain that later. I'll explain it. Because training and bit go hand in hand, without the other. And that's why we started the bit clinics again, because now I've got a steering wheel where in 10 minutes I can have a horse doing what I want, get them ready for the owner, and I'm not riding. I mean, I have people come to my house, and I would ride these horses, and we'd be 2 hours. I mean, heavy, dead-sided, and it's just on the education that you have and what you've learned from someone on how to do certain things in whatever background you are, or you may just not even know. Sorry, I've got to turn my phone off because I know it will ring at least 4 times when I'm here. It's not your fault, it's just education. Like trainers, you know, they've stepped on thousands of different horses. I mean, I can tell when a horse just kind of steps just like that and moves his hip that he's out of position. Whereas it can happen 10 times and you may not have that feel. Does it make you a bad rider? No. What it does is that habit starts until it gets really over-exaggerated. Do you even notice it? Whereas trainers, you know, we have that feel because we've just spent so much time in the saddle with wet saddle blankets on all kinds of different horses. So, you know, I can kind of get a horse started now, kind of getting light in the bit, and then I put you back on him, and you're like, oh, okay, and I can teach you how to use your hands or move your hands around, and you're like, okay, and then you go home, and now you've got something started. Whereas, like, if you go to most clinics, I didn't know this. I didn't know clinicians don't get on these horses in the clinic. Well, I done my clinic. Well, I just thought, you know, that's how you do it. So that's what we continued with. And kind of, to me, it kind of intertwines everything. And when you get home, you're like, okay, now we were doing this, then my horse is not listening, and he's not doing the same thing. It's kind of like going to a hairdresser. You know, you get your hair done, and it looks fabulous. Fabulous. You get home the next day, you get ready for work, and you're like, what in the heck? I now, with that being said, we're going to go to the training with Pat. I never rode this horse. Pat has a bit of mine. Tammy Berkland is on our sponsorship team, and she's helped Pat a little, but she won the drawing. I guess the other lady didn't show, which I kind of figured that might happen because it happens to me all the time when I have to go. So we're going to kind of see what it's like to come to one of my clinics. I do this big long spiel where I talk too much, and I'm distracted because I have a little ADD. And I did bring some of my other horses to show you a couple of things too. So what I'm trying to get at with these trainings, and understand this is something that you have to look at when you're running barrels. We get told a lot, and I haven't been told this, and I rode horses a long time. Well, your horse just isn't broken up. It's not broken up. You just gotta go home, you gotta break him. And I'm like, wait a minute. My horses are broke. My horses will do anything I want them to. What I figured over the years is this. When you add speed to it, and I think it's on their background, and I think a lot of the bit makers, a lot of the people come from cow horse, roping, and now understand this, I know enough to be dangerous about cutting, roping, reining, all that. And I'm not disclaiming against that. But a lot of things that they do compared to what we need to do or have the same function, it doesn't cross over. Some of it does, but a lot of it doesn't. And I'm going to show a lot of it why I think this doesn't work or that doesn't work. And you know, it's going to sound weird, and you're going to think I'm just pulling your leg, but I promise you, I have experience in all that. So there's kind of a happy medium. You've got your slow work right here. Your horse is really broke. And am I against foundation? Absolutely not. Your horse needs to have a good foundation, because when I get on it and I try to find that foundation and try to get him back to where he was supposed to be, like up over off the front end, stuff like that, you know, I want to be able to find that. Okay? Now, when you get to this part right here, we start adding speed. Now, I ride a lot of horses that are X-race horses. They teach those horses to run through the bit. They teach them to pick up the bit. They teach them to pull. They teach them to run through the bit. When they do that, those horses, that's their foundation before I even get there. Well, that's basically what we're doing here. We're teaching those horses to pick that bit up and come and run through it. Because a lot of times, all horses balance with their head and neck. So they're going to balance and start to balance over that and push through your bit. That's why when you start with a smooth mouthpiece, you have to end up going to those more severe type mouthpieces because you need that control. And it has to do with positioning. If you don't have the positioning and control, you cannot cut the clock off. Now, we're going to go to the next thing here. We're going to look at this horse. Does anyone have any questions? Wow. Okay. Well, we're going to work on it. Oh yeah, we're going to talk about different curve trains here in a minute. But the first thing I'm going to do, let's come over here so y'all can see. It's okay. I got plenty. Don't worry. All right. So we're going to talk about curve trains, but we're going to talk about the mouthpiece width, because this is, I'm finding, and understand this, I got to tell you a little bit about my background so you understand. This is going to sound like a sales tactic, and you're going to think, well, she just out to sell more bits. Promise you, I've proven this theory. So before we started the bit venture, you know, I just put a bit on the horse. You know, you go to your trailer, you go to someone's trailer, you go to a tack trailer, you go whatever. You just put a bit. Never in my life did I think that mouthpiece bit is the most important thing to make sure it fits on your horse. I know. You're like, what? Are you kidding me now? horse that really needs a 5 1/4. And I get that a lot at my house. Now, to measure it, we've tried different ways to measure it. It all gets distorted. So what I normally have people do, because they don't know, they don't understand what I'm telling them in writing, how to see if their horse, I just tell them, go put a bit on your horse, make sure there's no bit guards, take a picture right straight in the front of your horse, both sides, make sure the bit is square. And now, this is the most important thing, because I'm going to expect all y'all to know this when you ask me about bits later. The measurement. For some reason, we cannot measure. Okay, so here's how you measure a mouthpiece. You measure from where the mouthpiece starts right here, where my finger is, to where the mouthpiece starts over here. You don't measure the chain, the bit sleeve, and the bit. I get that a lot. That's why I'm making them send me a picture of their measurement. The mouthpiece starts right here. The mouthpiece, the actual hexagon mouthpiece starts right here to right here. That's where you measure to send me a picture. But now, however, it's fine. I get measurements for bit guards on all the time, and I have to do math in my head. Yes, I'm a tax accountant, but I don't do math in my head. That's why I have a calculator. So, I have to do fraction math in my head. And I can't do that. So, when you send me that picture, you'll send me the measurement, because I get measurements all the time. Well, it's 6 inches. No. Because normally I can tell if it's a professional choice, it's Clay Hardy, if it's Terry Kelly. If it's an LOW, if it's a shallow creek, I pretty much know what size it is now by having that many pictures sent to me. All right, so we're going to take all of the stuff off his head. And I'm going to show you how to know if your horse, you're not going to go somewhere, are you? Here you go. Okay, so we're going to put this on this horse, and we're going to talk about the curb chain and the bit. So, when you look at how, this is how you know it fits. I'm going to take you over here, buddy. All right, so we got this mouthpiece nice and square. Here, let's see straight. When you look at this horse, he's actually a perfect candidate for what I want to talk about. This is a 5 1/4 mouthpiece. You can see that is, and what you want to see is you want to see this mouthpiece and his corners of his mouth sit right on that bit weld. Give an example. So, you want to see the corners of your horse's mouth to sit right there on that nice flat weld right there. You never want to see the mouthpiece hanging out, or, and this horse is a perfect example, she tells me he won't stop. And I'm going to tell her that I think I know why he won't stop. So his corners of his mouth come over this bit sleeve. Okay? Now you say, well, we'll put bit guards on that. Let me tell you something. I used to be a bit guard fanatic. Everything I had a bit guard. Yes, he agrees too. Anyway. Let me tell you, bit guards are bad. They are. They're bad because I saw this happen to a horse one time who his mouth was like this horse right here. His lips, I call them lips. When I say lips, I mean corners. Corners of his mouth comes over this bit sleeve right here. And what happens when you put bit guards on, one, it makes the mouthpiece even smaller, and two, what I've seen it do is when you go work the bit, it sucks the corners of that horse's mouth in, and it holds them there. And it pinches them, even worse. It holds it there to pinch. So, the most important thing is to make sure that this fits this horse's mouth. And you want the corners of his mouth to lay right there on that bit sleeve on both sides. If it's like this, where you can see that comes over his mouth right there, see, and he's got big. So this is a 5 1/4. This horse is a 5 1/2, and I'm glad you brought him because this is a prime example. And what you see, well, how does that? What does that matter, Charlotte? What does it really matter? Well, I think back to some of the horses that they'll just come over the top of themselves, overreactive. They'll shake their head. I mean, all kinds of negative behaviors. They'll get heavy. They'll be like, well, I can't stop him, and I need more headgear. I need a bigger curb chain. I need a bigger mouthpiece. Stop what you're doing. If you have a horse like that, just look at how his mouth is. Now, I can kind of get away a couple times with this large Hexagon with it being a little bit too small. I can get away with that. But most 9 times out of 10, so, and then I'm going to be around after the jack, you know, after we get done today to kind of help size your horse's bit and educate you, because there's no manual, there's no information, there's nothing, there's not 1-800 help me, I'm crazy, barrel racer, need help with a video. Now there is, there's call Charlotte at J&C Bits, because I'll help you out with videos all day long. This is all I do. I deal with frustrated barrel racers because I've been one of them. I still am one of them. You know, there's nobody to call except your neighbor, your fellow barrel racer, and all they know is what they've learned with their experience. And you're going to get, if you ask, it's kind of like going and asking a horseshoe or something, you're going to get about 10 different answers because they all give you kind of an idea. Now that comes into play with our bid guarantee. You know, I've been wrong once or twice in my life, maybe 3 times, but not any more than that. So, you know, but, I mean, okay, so I look at this horse and I think, okay, well, I want to put this bit on him or that bit on him, and we go try it, well, it doesn't work, okay? So then you're stuck with a bid, right? Some of them up to $300. You know, that's a lot of money to have hanging in your trailer that doesn't work. Because we've heard Karen over here, because Karen's horse is now a 1D horse, and she used this blah, blah, blah bit, and it helped her remove 8 seconds from her run. And so we go buy the Karen bit, and it doesn't work for us, because it didn't give me 8 seconds off my run, and I don't know why. So then we put it on the bid auction, because now we're going to go try Richard's bid over here, and because that was what they said would work for them and their horse, and then gave them 12 seconds off their run, and so we're going to go do this. So then it's a vicious cycle. Well, here at J&C Bits, here's what we do. We offer you, whenever you call in, regardless of what you call in, you buy a bit from me, you go take it home, like the slow square twist, you go take it home, you call me and say, this didn't work like I wanted it to, and this is what's happening. I'm like, well, send me some videos, let's look. We go to plan B. You send me that bid in, I swap it out for you at no charge, and I send you another one. And we work, and I have had people literally, I've had 1 or 2 girls that we literally had to do 10 swaps on the bids. And I even had to make a special one for their horse. Okay, so she tells me this guy that he has road problems, he won't stop. So what am I going to do? Well, the first thing I'm going to do, and our leverage bid comes in different degrees, and we're going to talk about that. And there's going to be a couple of things that I'm going to do. Oh, let's talk about the curb chains. So, we look at curb chains. He's got a whole slew of curb chains, and we've seen this. We've got this curb chain right here. She's tried everything. She's frustrated. She's done. Don't worry. You are not alone. There's 1-800-AA for barrel racers frustrated and trying to murder their horses, their husbands, or their children. Yeah. Trust me. We got an AA group going on at J&C Bits for frustrated barrel racers. Come join us. Hi, my name is Charlotte. I'm addicted to barrel racing, and I spent way too much money. I have a lot of trinkets and a lot of cool pictures, but I don't have any money. That's why I'm doing something different. Because I support this right here. The 2 mascots and the 2 horses there. That's my support right there. That's why I work for it. Okay, so we got different curb chains here. Now we look at the chain one, and I'll just discuss that bit. Okay, so when you look at the chain right here, I'm not against the chain. I've used chains, but you got to make sure you know how to put them on. And what I've run into is people want to put these chains on, and they want to put them on live. And I know this is a lot of me talking. Trust me, I don't like listening to myself either. Let's see here. I didn't bring a chain because I don't use them very often. Okay, so this horse, They must love, they love you. That's what it is. Okay, so we got this chain on right here, and that's a, he's like, don't do this. Okay, so we got the chain here. I'll put it on for fear that I'm not going to get it off. We'll just do it over here like this. All right, buddy, go. You got the chain here, and that is where you need to get your chain. You do not want to leave this chain hanging down like this, because, and I've heard people say this, not more than once, maybe more than 10 times. Well, I just loosened the chain, Charlotte. That should help, right? No, that's the worst thing you can do. You loosen this chain down here, and you see, okay, so here's the chain nice and snug. See, the curved chain works like this. And see, it's stopping this bit. Watch what happens when I loosen this curve out. Look at all the play. How's that? Well, you know, it doesn't bother right here. But when that's a winnie dog. I know, they're so bad. Oh, my little control, sorry. Anyway, back to what I was saying. See, I do squirrels like on a squirrel. Anyway, okay. So you go right here. First of all, your bit's not going to function properly like it will. But when and get lots of adrenaline in my body, and I go up here, and I go the first barrel, and I would get this horse like it's supposed to. See, what happens is that curb chain is going to all of a sudden hit him. It's going to bite him, and it's going to hit him. The first thing that happens is their head comes up. So, for the majority of barrel racers, I tell them don't use that, because we can do a lot more with a bit than you need. Oh, he's going to play. We can do a lot more with a flat chain or a leather curve. My first deal is I like leather curves. The second thing is I like this flat chain that you get at your feed store that are real cheap. This is what normally, this leather curve or this flat chain curve is what comes with your bit, and you have the option to select that. Am I against chain curve chains? No, but just know how to use them. Make them snug, 1 or 2 fingers, and all curve chains should be that way. Why do I like a flat chain curve in a leather? Because you got some forgiveness. So if we've got this slow square twist on this horse, and that's what I use these slow square twists with, is I use them with the leather. Because what I do is I straighten these shanks up to give me more leverage, more control, and we may have to put this on this horse to kind of get his attention. So I can straighten the shank up and give this mouthpiece right here, and then I put a leather curve so he's not uncomfortable and I'm not surprised if we're going to get elevated. So, we're going to put on him today, we're going to put this large hexagon with the port with the cricket right now on him. We already know that his mouth is a 5.5. I do not carry 5.5s with me because most horses I'm 5.25, but I do know that we will need to get him something specially made. Oops, here's your thing. Anybody have any questions? Oh, come on, be the first one. You'll be okay. I won't embarrass you. And no question is a stupid question, because trust me, probably all these other people are probably saying they don't know the answer.
Can you show where the bid lays in? I'm about 4 foot closer now.
Okay. Y'all can come down here. Come down here. It's okay. Let's put this right here. It's okay.
I can't see well enough.
It's okay. Neither can I. I'm getting where, yeah, come on down here. It's okay. We're laid back here. I'm pretty chilled. You're not going to bother me. Don't worry. I won't bite. Maybe once. See? Look at him right here. See how his corners of his mouth are coming over? See how it's coming over here? And I've got this bit pretty square. See what's happening when I pull to this side. See how that's going in his mouth? See how that's going to pinch him? See how that's going to pinch him? Yeah. So, see how that pinches him on the outside right there? See how that pinches him? That's going to pinch him right there. See how that's pulling on him? Look, he's already doing it. And he don't like it. He's like, I don't like this. So see? Yeah. Y'all see that over there? Come on over here. It's okay. Don't be afraid. Don't be bashful.
So when you put a bid on one of those horses later, we can see the way.
Yes. Yes. Well, yeah, because both of those horses are 5.25. little overbroken bit and talk about that. So do y'all see that? See how that, when I'm pulling over this way, you see how that pinches in right here? Okay. Y'all come on down here. Anybody else? And, you know, like I said, I'll be down here. See how that pinches in? And what that does is it helps. Yeah, right there. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. See how that pinches in right there? Yeah. So that is a lot of the problem. Now, is it the 100% all the problem? No. But Untitled Chapter was just here. She's got a big tank horse. She's telling me about how the horse, you know, he goes by the barrel. I can't get him to stop. Blah blah blah. You know, and when he came over, and we have a lot of horses. This horse doesn't have fat lips like him. I call him fat lips because I think that thing was when he stud for a while. He was a stud for a while. Anyway, he has a big old jaw like this, but he has real big lips. Well, the lips are even worse when they have fat lips like that. Okay, so that's a big deal. So if you have a horse that's doing that, that's a whole wide variety of negative behaviors. But that's the first thing to look at. And so I'll tell you, part of that reason is why. Because when you're pulling real hard, trying to get him to stop, that's pinching on him really bad. Okay? But now we're gonna be okay today because he's probably real heavy in the front end and dropping and real over the bridle. So okay, so now we're gonna get on him. I might need to get my range straight. Okay, does anybody else have any questions? Anybody else have any questions? Yes, I like it really nice and snug. My curb train is about 2 fingers and I want them pretty snug. Yeah, I don't want it hanging down here. I mean, I'm pulling on this bit, but it's right there. Yeah. Okay. Oh my God, don't get the wheatie dog. Dang wheatie dog, they think that they're the biggest little bulldog there is. Okay. So you see these poles out here? They're there for a reason. I've had people come to my house and they pick poles up. No, don't do that. Okay. So when we're looking at horses and when we're talking, this is something that I'm real passionate about. And you're gonna think, oh my gosh, she's one of those people. And you hear it all the time when people are yelling, put your hands down. That's the Karens. Put your hands down. Well, don't listen to those people because they're wrong. They're wrong. You hear what I said? They're wrong. I'm going to show you why. Okay. So when you have people, and a lot of people who have kind of helped us and taught us, gave us lessons, were people who had backgrounds in working cow horse, cowboy on the ranches, the old school types about keeping your hands down like this, getting your horse overbroken the bridle, because that's how they have to have their horses working. And you know, like I said, I know enough to be dangerous because all I've ever been is a barrel racer. So they like to keep their hands down. There's a couple reasons why I don't. I like to keep my hands up in forward motion. Well, the first thing I'm going to show you why. So this horse is walking on all 4 legs real straight like this. Okay, see, he's got forward motion like this. All right. And this is how you tell the kids, let me show you, you're wrong. Because that's how I had to show them they're wrong at my clinics. Okay? Because you have to prove it to people. They don't just have faith anymore and someone knows what they're talking about. They've got to see it. So here we go. When I ask this horse to go in and pull a little closer, see, 4 legs with 4-wheel driving. This is something that Christy Peterson and Jordan Briggs taught me how to do. And I was like, well, that makes sense. I've been doing it wrong. So I'm asking this horse to keep moving. Now watch what happens when I put my hand down and I ask this horse to come back towards my knee. What did he do? He stopped. We lost forward motion. Anytime that you stop forward motion, the clock is not forgiving. It goes faster. So that's how you teach the people who. Now it's crazy because you'd be surprised how many people when we tell them put your keep their hands down. So see, I'm trying to promote this horse, and also I'm out of this horse's mouth. Okay? Until I want this horse to do something, I'm out of his mouth right here. Okay? My horses know that when they come to the barrel and I start to engage my hands, that's when they stop. That's when they start running. That's when they start turning, sorry. I sort of get something in one track here. Again, squirrel. Like the dog on that's me. Just I don't have a red light right here. Or a collar. Anyway. Okay. Y'all didn't even laugh. That's kind of funny. You can laugh, it's funny. Okay, so when I come up here, let me go back over here. So that brings me to another thing that I think, and I'm going to show it on this bay mare, about, okay, so a horse needs to stand square. A lot of people are confused about what collection is. So, this horse is standing square. This is the natural, instinctual way that horses want to stand. They stand like a box. One leg here in that corner, one leg here in that corner, one leg here in this corner, one leg here in that corner. Okay, they stand level like this horse is standing right here. That is their natural, instinctual way. That is what's easy for them, okay? Anytime that you make a horse violate that square on their leg rule, that becomes non-instinctual. So everything I'm teaching here today around the pattern is all what I've seen horses' behavior, what I've read, how I've researched horses' behavior, because we want them to be instinctual and we want them to learn and it'll be easy for them. And also, a lot of these horses that I have trained, they normally will go on to be rodeo horses. And so I want a horse to stand square around a turn at all times because in 4Ds, the horses can use the ground, they can get out of collection and not fall down. Whereas when they then go to a rodeo, the first thing that happens is they go over there and try to use the ground, they go like that, and they splat, and they learn a big lesson. Well, in order to avoid that, I started training my horses a lot different because I was finding a lot more horses were having trouble when they went to go be rodeo horses, and it also helps you with the 4D because it doesn't violate the collection rule. Another thing that I've seen, a lot of people think that having a horse overbroke, like really getting his head down, you're going to do it for me. He doesn't. Okay, so see how this horse is doing? And I'm giving him what he's listening. You'll see this mare do it a lot because the people who started her, they really overbreak their horses in a bit, which meaning they get them where they're hiding their face down here. Well, a lot of the cow horse people, a lot of the cutting horse people, they have to do that because they want that horse to engage. Anytime they pull up their hand, they want that horse to drop their head. In barrel racing, that's a no-no because anytime a horse hides his face from you, you can't control it. You are at his mercy. And that is a very uncomfortable position for horses. It's non-instinctual. All right, so this horse, he's a little bit heavy right there, and I'm going to lighten him up a little bit. So when I come over here, the first thing I'm going to do is ask him to give me his head. See, you can tell. He's like, I don't like that. So you can tell he wanted to step over. Now, when I get back to the bit about rodeos, most places, they're going to work this ground 4 foot on each side of the barrel. That's about, yes, we drag. That's not what I mean. I'm talking working, where you're going to come up here and you're going to be able to get in this groove that I'm going to talk about, and your horse is going to stay up underneath you and you're not going to hit shifty ground. This is the first reason why I train my horses this way. Where that pole is where all of that heavy dirt is being flung to. And it's loose, and it can be really shifty. So, as you can see, this horse was wanting to do it. He's wanting to kick out that shoulder, because when I go up here, most barrel racers want to do this right here. And they want to take a big circle around it. Well, that looks really cool and all. Sorry, Bill. It looks really cool and all, but when you go to try to implement this, this is the first thing that happens. When you come running up here to a barrel, and you ask that horse to move over like that, what I mean, move over to the outside. You come right here, and you go, okay, now give me your head. He does that right there. Okay, well, yes, he's kicking his hip here, you're in this deep, heavy, non-work dirt. It slows the front end down. Anytime you slow that front end down, the back end's got to go somewhere. You got to understand that this hip right here, this is your motor. This is what drives you forward. So when you do that, normally what happens, 9 times out of 10, he kicks his butt out over here. And you start feeling, well, my horse is over here, and he can't get to the barrel. And then here, and it gets real droppy, and it's kind of cheating. Well, that's because you've got him violating that square rule. Anytime you violate that square rule, that horse becomes uncollected, and he gets over here, so he's got to turn that barrel, but his hip is kicked out over here. He's standing like, he's running like this, basically. And so the hip is not engaged. Anytime you don't have that hip and rib engaged, you've got an uncollected horse trying to turn. And I get a lot of people go, I need a Mouthpiece because he's just too big, because he's doing like this right here, like that, and he's kicked his hip out, and his horses are strangling like this, and he's like, he's just too big. I'm like, no, you do not need a mobile Mouthpiece. What you need to do is get your horse back up underneath him, get him back square, and then things will start to work properly. We as two-legged people, we think from here forward. Four-legged horses, they push this way forward, okay? So, that goes back to what I was telling you about the feel on a horse. This is why I know this horse is collected. Whereas, if you have a person, they might have 10 or 15 horses in their lifetime, or 20, maybe 50 at the most. That's all they've ridden in their lifetime. So, their feel is a lot different than mine. And the way I teach it like this, you don't have to have feel. You don't have to feel what this hip is doing. All you've got to do is know you've got to keep your horse in line, and you can ride him this way forward. You don't have to have leg pressure or anything like that. You just get into his hole, you lift your hand up, and you're going to have a much faster, smoother turn, and you don't have to have that feel. Whereas someone who's telling you, because these trainers are telling you big circles, we got to load big circles, we got to get them under, get them collect, like this. What they assume is that you know how to ride this hip and keep it collected, okay? They assume that. Most people don't, because they don't know what they're feeling. So when I bring this horse up here with a tracks crossover, when I mean tracks crossover, we'll be able to see that more when we go to work in the barrel. I get him right here with a tracks crossover. That's where you come in and where you come out, right where these front feet are. So I bring him right here, and I've got him right between my hands. Let's go back to him and see what I'm talking about. This is something that Ed Wright taught me. I had a horse that was real droppy going in the pen, and I was bringing him right through here like this. I was bringing him up here, and I was trying to engage his head like this and get his nose like this, and he was just dropping, like way at the time. He said, Charlie, quit doing that, because you're starting a fight that you can't win. Just take him up there like you're going to go straight down the middle of the pen, and keep his head straight, and push forward, keep this hip underneath him, and keep him pushed forward till you get right here, where the tracks cross over, and you're going to get his nose, push him forward, really give him a lot of popping on the backside, and we'll get to that here in just a minute. And the same thing with the second. You want to keep this horse engaged right here. You're going to get him right here. That's why I have the poles right there. Because to me, pocket is on the backside. If you go watch fast turns, you'll see every horse that's running, it's not a rounded turn. work that hard. All right, so what I want this horse to do when I come up here and I give him a chance is I want him to come right here and I want him to stop. And the way I show you how to feel, you drive your car up to a stop sign, you push it, feel it push you forward, and then it comes back like this. This is the feeling that I'm looking at, that come back that I'm feeling when I want to stop my horse. So when I come up here, see, that's not the feeling, because what he's doing is he's pushing forward. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to get him off his front end. That was better. Trying to get him off his front end, so when I stop, he doesn't push forward. He's pushing forward every time I want him to, actually when I want him to stop, I want him to stop and come back like this. So when I come over here, when I ask him, he's not on his front end. And it looks like a big pocket, and you think, oh God, I'm going to hit that barrel leaving it. No, because the momentum is going to push you around it. And when you run right here, you're going to run like that. That's the way it looks. And see, you can tell he's kind of confused too. He's like, I don't know what you're doing, but this is not how my mom has showed me. So when I come here, I'm going to lift my hand up like this, and I'm going to make him come around like that. He's a little nervous right here. That's okay. I'm not worried about that. He's got a little bit, you know, his head high. Am I against tie downs? No. Am I against head setters or bonnets? No. I'll use whatever I have to on a horse to make him be level and comfortable. I don't like using them, and I certainly don't like using them when I'm trying to evaluate a horse. See right there? That's not good. When I want him, and so what I'm trying to do for Pat here is I'm trying to get him every time I stop, and that goes back to his mouthpiece whip. He's used to that pinching every time that we pull on him. And he's gotten, you understand, horses have two behaviors. They have a fight or a flight mechanism. This horse is a fighter. He's not a fighter, because a horse that's real sensitive would go, oh God. So this horse is a fighter. So his reaction to that pinching him like that all the time, because nothing you've ever put on him has been big enough, and probably his whole life, nothing has ever been big enough for this horse. So this horse has had pinching his whole life. All he's known, now there, you see, stop, okay, because that cord engages, and I like it. Can we run him long term this short bit? No, in this short two little mouthpiece, no. We're going to have to give this horse a new mouthpiece that fits him, that will be comfortable, because like I said, you want these horses to be comfortable. So when I come up here, he's paying attention to his jaw. He's not thinking about the uncomfortableness of his mouth. That's why I'm totally against bits that are made like screws, mule mouthpieces, anything that is really ugly for a horse. I'm not about that. If we have to put that on him, something's really wrong. Because, you know, we're asking a horse to be our friend and participate. We don't want to hurt him. We don't want to make him feel uncomfortable. We want him to see, there he goes again. Now I'm just going to back him up and get him off of his front end. And what I did was I just kind of seesawed a little, say, hey, this is what I see a lot. 90% of horses that I see, they're uncollected going into the barrel, and they're too heavy on the front end. That's 90% of the horses. So what I'm doing here is not about the backing up. What it's about is about getting off his front end and getting back on the butt, so he stays collected, like that. And then I'm just going to stop. Let him just set for a minute, soak that in. So when I come over here to ask, so when Pat's running down the alleyway, it needs a damn horse to stop, because you've got to have your horse stop. It's too dangerous. You'll hurt somebody, you'll get hurt. You can't afford to do that. Period. So as I say right here, we won't move these poles out of the way. The only reason why I put them here is so when Pat comes up here, and so as you can tell, what's happening is I'm asking this horse to get really round in his rib cage. And when he does that, he lifts that rib cage up, that hip, that inside hip leg is going to push up underneath him, and it's going to come around and stay collected so you have that on the backside, because I see so many horses get in there, they get real stiff on their rib cage, because I'm not a big person that likes this. This is very uncomfortable for a horse. One, it's very non-instinctual. You see this horse, he gets very nervous when I do this. I'm not a big person that likes a lot of nerves. Now, will I do it to get the rib cage off? Yes, but when I run, if I get that much flexion, I'm enough. Because this horse is now soft in his rib cage. He's got that hip and that behind leg, and we're not violating the rules. You can tell when I do this to him. And so this violates the prey instinct, because he can't see predators coming at him now. And you never see horses out in pasture running around with their head like this. Ever. This is very non-instinctual for a horse, and it's very uncomfortable for them. So, when I ask a horse to come around, see how nice and round he is, how more comfortable he is too. See how nice? He's just settled down. He's like, okay, I get what you're saying now. And he's not fighting me and going, oh, here we go. So he's just kind of not paying attention. I'm just going to get him back up underneath himself, get him where he's paying attention, and not trying to pull on the bit. Get off your rear end. Get on your rear end. There. I like to back him up. I like to back him up straight. I like them. So you kind of pushing on me. Every time that I go to engage, he's pushing on me. So I'm asking him to back up. You gotta be careful backing horse up. Don't ever do it in anger, because you get one over the top of you like this. You gotta know how far you can push a horse. Even when I get on horses. Because I brought some over the top of me accidentally. So here we go. Get his nose. You really listen. I want him to know, because when I'm on the backside, every time I ask him for that outside rein to come around, he wants to kind of be real bendy. Because I want him to get right here and go straight. Because the straightest, fastest point between two lines is a straight line. Now, on the first barrel, that's not always the case. I don't like taking a horse straight to it. Go much better. See there? You can barely see it, but it's better. It's not. He's still like, oh, I gotta test this, I know it's coming. But even though he's still doing this, he's not pulling on me. He's not zipping back and forth. And so that's when you know that your horse needs something on his nose. So you can tell she's having to work. And see, when you get a horse like this, it's a little bit heavy in the mouth. He's pulling on her pack. And I'm not calling you old. I'm older. You're an old senior lady. Golden years suck, okay? They lie to us, and I don't like it. But when you're older, you lose a lot of elasticity. You ride one-handed because you have to help hold on with your saddle horn, because you've lost a lot of elasticity over all of the wrecks and bruises and whatever, just being in life. Like me, rheumatoid arthritis. And so that's another thing we have to take into account when we're trying to put a bit on a horse. I've got to figure out what works for your hands may not work for mine. So when you get on this horse, then you're going to tell me how it feels, and I'm going to see if we need to adjust to something that's a little bit lighter, less shiny. Because a lot of older ladies that ride one-handed, when they come around the barrel right here, and I think this is part of the reason why this horse is doing it, come around the barrel right here, this horse is taking on. This is a big, nice, powerful horse. These ladies are still kind of hanging behind and holding their inside rein, and they kind of get a horse coming out of the barrel with their head to the side. And that's fine. We just have to adjust, and we have bits for that. We can adjust, for that. We can put a combo on him, something like that, to adjust for that. Because it doesn't make you, even though you feel inadequate, it doesn't make you less of a rider. We can adjust to those kind of things to your hands.
Oh, I ride with that tie down the other night.
Anybody have any questions? That's probably one of people's mind. It looks really easy, but you're really surprised how many people who get on here, they're like, oh my gosh. Because the first thing they want to do, and this is my favorite, I'm not going to do it with that embarrassing way. If they can't go back here to the pole, so here's what they do. They got to have a pocket right there. I don't care. It's just a necessary thing. Don't do that. That's still no man's land there. Okay? They want to go past that pole and move over. They're about, they're my 2 foot, so I think 4 foot. And I also put some right here too for people so they know they go in and come out. Now if you have a real spooky, waspy horse, just pin the pole up. Because those horses will literally go to that pole and go, oh my God, and run sideways into the barrel. And then that frustrates the person even more. Because then you see this horse is in my hands. I got him in my hands right here. Kind of got a little heavy right there. And the reason why I do this is because I don't want Pat trying to fight the horse, trying to make the horse learn, do what he's supposed to do. I want her to be able to just get on him. I get him started and get on him and be able to concentrate on her hands and body. He's still trying to go right there. And he's nervous because he knows when he goes to a barrel race, he goes to a place, he's going to go run. I'm going to go back over here, make him get around over here. You can see his hip stays in, but what he's doing is he's getting real stiff on his rib cage right in here. So you're trying to hide his head from me right there. He's still kind of resenting this. He's like, he's not wanting to do, and he still wants to be, you can see, he still wants to be resentful. So I'm going to put, and what I like to do is I like to put that short, slow square twist, but it's not on a head stall right now. I'm going to put the long one on him. It's fine, I got it. Yes. Yes, I do. You got a ready horse that's wanting to kind of cheat you a little. We need to look at him a little bit. And this is a 25 degree, and it makes him really respectful of bits. We might be able to put this over back on him. It's a slow square twist, broken, but I do a leather curve because it has a little forgiveness on the back side. Yes, I do ready horses like that too. One, you can push them forward, and if you get them where they're squared up and they're light on their front end, they'll roll that rib cage around. And if you have like a smaller horse, like, is he like a cutting type bred, smaller horse? She's smaller, okay. So on small horses, you have to understand, compared to this horse is a big old long strided horse. And he's my kind of horse because I'm a big old behemoth, and I have to have a monster. But you understand, you start getting smaller horses, they've got a smaller stride, and you want to keep them close because that's where they're going to outrun this horse. This horse is going to outrun them straight away, and even more so, you have to play to those kind of horses' strengths. If you keep them up and up front over there, if you get them out like this, you're hanging that horse out even more so, and you're not cutting the clock off. Now see, now we've got control. And he's not pushing on me, because I can't handle a horse pushing on me. And I've used the slow square twist a little bit straighter. See, now we've got light control. He's not pushing on me, he's paying attention. gets right up there, he just throws his nose out, straightens his rib cage. And I use the slow square twist and a broken. I like it better rather than a cricket because it's got too many moving parts, I think, and it makes them uncomfortable. And I think that's why they kind of get up and then bridle. I mean, they get their head elevated. And if your horse can't do this in a walk or trot or a lope, then they're not going to be able to do this running. So we want to keep them square right here like this. He's like, I like bouncing my head. That's how I've gotten away with it. That's how I've gotten away from the pressure. And this horse is the epitome of what I've seen by too small of a mouthpiece. Much better. Yeah, we ran over the pole, but he gave me everything that I wanted. What I want him to do is when I sit, I'm giving him the opportunity. When I sit, I want him to sit with me, and he's not. He wants to push and be over his front end. And as far as I can tell, there's nothing soundness wrong with this horse. I don't feel him out anywhere. I don't feel any kind of looseness. There's no reason for him to not just want to sit. When I sit, I want him to sit. I don't want to pull on him. Because if you can't do that, if you can't make this horse sit without pulling on you, when you run, it's out of control. So when I come over here and I ask him to sit, and I'm not giving with my hands, I'm trying, there we go, much better. Good boy. When they do something like that, give them a reward. Let them soak it in. Good boy. Yeah. That way they know, because these horses don't know. They don't know winning. They don't know money. They know, but they understand this, and they understand pressure and release. See, and that tells me right there that he's uncollected. He keeps wanting to step his hip out of there. I'm going to walk him around the time or two. Can you move that around? Thank you. What is that? Somebody give me some Absorbing Junior. They don't buy it a lot. Move it over just a hair more. There we go. See how he's wanting to kind of still round himself out? That's another thing. A lot of people, I see them do big circles right here. They want to do this. That horse, when I ask him to come right here like this, he still wants to do that. He don't want to straighten up and come around with his head straight. We want him to come straight around the barrel and get that snap on the back side. So when I come around here, I'm giving him an opportunity to come around straight like that. See, he wants to come around with his head cockeyed. And what happens is you step them off the barrel like that, they're not coming around with the snap that you need on the back side. You don't want them to step off because, like I said, the clock keeps running. And yes, I go way out here when I'm walking slow because I'm trying to get this horse to really engage this hip and really get soft. As you can see, when I'm working on the third barrel, that's the reason why. What he's been doing is coming up here, just giving a little bit of nose. He gives just a tick full of nose, then he goes, and I'm done. He won't get nice and round. And we want a horse to roll around this barrel with the nice and round. See how his butt pushes him forward? Now that I've got him where he's a little bit off his front end, he's pushing himself forward. He's lifting that rib cage. He's pulling that hind inside leg up underneath him to make that nice rollback to the back side. Any questions? No? Got it all? Yes.
And, you were talking about when horses, they over
this mare right here is so big, and big horses like that, that is too uncomfortable for them. Most of the horses that she's ran on has been smaller, type more athletic horses. When you have a bigger horse like that, and then that mare had to be treated for EPM too. So when you have a bigger horse like this, and this horse is not over-collected. Because if he was, every time I push him like this, he'd get his head down here and hide it from me. She's going to show you how that is and why. I had a dash to fame that I won like 100,000+ on. He was a dash to fame out of a thoroughbred mare, a Better mare. And I won a ton on him. And this is how I learned this lesson. What I did is I got that horse so overbroke, he had a little injury on his front leg we didn't know about. And so, and he got to, because he was the known son of Dash to Fame, they get a little wild and kind of crazy because they want to go do their job. And, you know, he would get real nervous and everything like that. And he would get his head down here towards his chest. He's big. He was about 16'1". He was big, and he would get his head down like this. And if I took hold of him and got hold of him without, because I had to do this back and forth, give and take, because if I got hold of this big sucker, he'd drop his head, and I was nothing. Because, I mean, 60% of a horse's weight is on their front end. Anytime that you're going in here trying to get their nose and trying to get them engaged back here to go ahead and keep them from cheating you, it's going to get worse. One, because it's like me running up behind you and grabbing your hair. You're going to go, ugh, okay? But then you're going to push and try to get away from it. And that's what these horses are doing. They're trying to get away from you, and you get that gather, and they start pushing like this, and then you're just in a fight. And you're in a fight you can't win. And it's the same thing as being overbroke in the face. I will say, it's very hard to get a horse out of it, but you don't want to put a leverage 45, you want to straighten the shank on a horse, and I'm out to kind of get their head up and how I kind of work with them. And yeah, I know I'm really boring here, but sometimes when a horse, I've got them to kind of stop and give it up for a minute, I give them a little bit of relaxing, where they know that they get good, there's no more anxiety. And like I said, on these slow square twists, I find what works if you have to have it, because you have to have it, because this sucker's so heavy, and Pat's not strong enough. It's like little kids. Sorry, I'm not comparing you to a little kid, but the strength is gone in your arms, and little kids are the same way. They've got to have something that they don't, because their little arms can't pull on a horse, as well as like us older in our prime. I'm not even in my prime anymore. I don't know what happened. Anyway, like I said, I didn't think I would ever live this long. I ran my body like it was a Hertz rent-a-car. I've had a lot of fun. When I die, I'm going to stink and look really bloated and ugly, and they're going to say, she's nasty. And I'm like, but I had a good time doing it. My life was fun. I never missed out on any opportunity to have fun. A little crazy at times. You know, we always see he's trying to pull on me still. Okay. It takes a little time sometimes. There. Good boy. So as you can tell, we're not quite where we need to be yet. And that's fine, I'm used to that. He's strong, very strong. He's no different from anyone else. Oh God, am I losing Oh, yeah, there. That's so mean. I shouldn't do that. I'm an a-hole like that. I like the back rows Baptist. I'm one of them. So what I'm doing is just kind of getting him where he's a little bit more respectful. And not pushing so hard because he's getting down, he's pushing on her, and her little arms can't handle that. Her shoulders can't handle it, it hurts, it's not fun. And anytime the barrel racing becomes not fun, who wants to do it? I can sit in my easy chair a lot more and watch TV. I can watch other girls on the Cowboy Channel that have better horses. It's way fun. I win more barrel races at home than I do anywhere. Yeah, because if it's not fun for me, I don't want to go. And I don't know about the rest of you. I've had people literally, poor barrel racers, they call me, they're on the way, my horse, it's so bad. I'm selling. My husband's going to divorce me. Oh, I heard it all. My favorite is when the husbands come, and you can tell when they come or the boyfriends come. They're those skeptics. They're like, she's been to everyone. You can tell on their face, it's so fun. Because they go, yeah, here we go. Another money we got to shell out. They're looking at me like, here you are, going to take her money. My money that I make. By the end of the day, the husbands are buying more bits than the women are. By the end of the training session, now I've got this roping horse, and he takes off out of the box, and I can't stop him. What can we put on him? Usually I end up more money on the husbands than I do, and the boyfriends more than the women. Because then the women go, no, this fits for me. And my favorite one is, well, my husband and my cutter boyfriend or my broker boyfriend took all my bits and I got to work more. I'm like, well, poor you. I know, this is kind of a hurry up and wait. It's very boring. It's on his time, not on mine. So I can't make him just be, I mean, this is months and months and probably years and years of training on this horse that it's on his time. It's not on mine. So I can't just hand him over yet because we won't make positive progress. So, I mean, I've had people come to my house, they've had to stay for 4 or 5 hours because we're not going to do that here. Where, you know, we've got to get these horses where they're listening and backing off a bit. And sometimes I get it accomplished and we get them to give it up. And sometimes they have to come for another tuning session. I mean, it's on these horses' times. See? Much better. And all I did was sit. I just have my hands here ready. In case I've got to engage. And you can see my hands are up and out of his face, so I sit, and he does it again. So he's still testing me. Anybody have any questions while I'm working on this horse? A little bit? No? Y'all got it figured out.
I have one.
Yes.
Back to the rating thing. So if you work a horse history rater like this, you go back just big circles in between.
No. Big circles for, oh, I hate big circles. with the big circles. The only time that I do big circles, if I gotta put a horse to work because I can't get them to engage right here, and they need to go find a job and get tired. I will do big circles around this or whatever, and then come back to engage because I want to run like I practice. I don't like big circles. They cause way too much trouble. Now, for me, I know when a horse is balanced and he's in, but I don't like big circles. I don't. Big circles is not what you're after. So you want that horse to come up here and turn this tight. So big circles is not teaching him anything. It's theorized that it's supposed to help widen around, but it doesn't. All it does is cause problems and get them uncollected because then they don't know where they're supposed to go. They try to go where you've taken them to the big circles. Instead of going up here and giving them plenty of pocket on the backside like this and making them engage that way, because that is how they're supposed to turn. The only thing I'm changing about this horse when I go to turn is we have the same pocket going in, is right here on the backside, because he's going to engage, because when I get right there, I'm going to come across and ask him to come back to me. So I'm sending this horse to the same place every time. I'm not sending him over here and asking him to get over here and do big circles, because this is where he's going to go. That's what you've been training. And then you say, oh no, but turn there. You're sending two separate signals. So which is it? Do you want big circles or do you want to turn tight? You want to turn tight. See what I'm saying? It's theorized, and you see people doing it all the time on social media, doing this drill, big circles, big circles. When you go watch that person run. Go watch them run their good horses. Watch how them horses run around the barrel. It ain't a circle. It's go in, swap ends, come out straight. It ain't a circle. That's not what they're winning with. They are not winning like this. If they are, they're getting outrun. They don't win like that. Go watch them run their horses. Watch how those horses work. They come right here, they get a nice back pocket, they swap ends and come out straight. I've studied so many good barrel racers running their horses and watched how they work them. I mean, when you watch Craig Brooks, when you watch him, I don't know if y'all know him, but he's from Georgia. And Craig is an amazing man rider, okay? Craig will come up here and he will not even, this is how he trains his horses like this. He will make these horses glittery. And I've watched Craig a lot, and Craig really can hide right behind Craig really, really good, okay? He makes these horses, when he's working slow, he does not do big circles. He makes those horses actually run around that barrel with that hip like this. He comes up here, and he's got his hands up like this. I've watched Craig for many, many years do a horse just like that. That's how he trains his horses. One day I'm going to ride with him and Brandon. Now, you see it, yes, Brandon gets lots of money. Joy Borgo gets lots of money. Jolie Montgomery, is mine the only way? No. I'm just telling you what has worked for me doing lessons for people who don't know about the field. You know what I mean? They don't know that if this horse steps out just a little this way or he pops his shoulder out just a tick, I can feel it. They can feel it. Whereas when you get on a barrel racer who's had about 50 or so at most horses in their lifetime and has probably rode, what I say, 100, you know, and that's about a majority. Does that make you a bad rider? No. But it's the feel that I'm telling you about. Those people who did big circles like that, they know their feel on their horse and they know that where they want them to be. Whereas the majority of barrel racers, big circles are a bad thing. And for me, they're a bad thing. One time I did that, I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to train just like they're doing. And I'm going to do big circles. And my ex-race horse that had won $150,000, he did just exactly what I've been training to do. He did big circles in the run. I won a 5D that day. And so this right here is just like this. Instead of rounding around a turn, remember we've got to go around this turn. If you get them where they're kind of lifting that rib cage, you can get by a horse so much easier than trying to uncollect them and get them over here and try to do big circles and trying to get their nose and trying to make them be round back here from the shoulder up. You can get by them a lot easier.
You got 4 hours to start.
He's like, okay. Try again. He's like, I'm tired. My mom does not like me like this. And you know, if it's a mare, and mares are more greedy, and they wanna do their job. That was better. Now we're getting up underneath yourself. Good boy. Yeah, it was still not perfect, but it was better. It just wasn't like pushing me over. I like her. She asks lots of hard questions. Anybody else got any hard questions for me? Do I know everything? No. I'm a disclaimer. I'm going to tell you, I don't know everything. I get run by those people all the time. But I do watch them a lot, and I incorporate what works for me in my program, and I try to share it with people because the bits go hand in hand with training. You can't have one without the other. I mean, you just can't. Like this horse right here, we've got some issues going on here that no bit is just going to survive, is going to take care of in one little sit. That's why, you know, I'm here with Pat trying to be passionate, teaching her and her horse, hey. Like I said, this horse is a fighter. Anytime you've ever been around horses that fight, they're going to fight a little bit. And what I'm trying to get him to do, that he's got fingertip touch. So whenever she wants something from him, all she's got to do is just do this. And what it looks like around a turn is like this, and all she's got to do is just stop him, and he'll stop, and she's not having to go, because her arms and shoulders can't take that. So she's got to have something on his head that he's respectful of. Here we go again. I'm going to test him out. He kind of got getting a little cheaty on me. That's okay. He's tired. He's hot. Our point of education, and that's another thing, of course, is you got to know that you've got about 15 or 20, especially with a young horse, you got about 15, 20, 30 minutes of education. And I'm no miracle worker. I mean, I like to think I am, but I'm no miracle worker. That was much better. Okay, so now he's ready for you to get on. Because now I've got him, for now he's at least stopping over the barrel. Do you need a chair? Okay. We can put the tie back on. We don't need the cast on. Just the tie. We're going to put the tie on because he likes to bounce his head around and we don't want him to do. Hey, come here. Now I'm going to get on this thing here and show you a few things I've heard about the overbroken face. You need a chair to get on? Okay. He's okay down there. I'm helping. I'm good about helping. I can help. Let me help. I love helping. All right. Oh, and I like short reins too. Here, we'll put this over to that. That's better. Okay. So this mare right here, she's a 3-year-old. Billy. And I'm going to put this large hexagon, and this is a short shank with her. This is Belle. Yeah, she's 3. She's a big girl. Yeah, big girl. I'm not little. I'm a big girl. This is Freaky. Freaky is the gray. Freaky is the asshole. He is the, this is junior asshole, and that's head asshole. Yep. Sorry, parents, but they are. Yeah, they do well. He's the king. Well, I have another king. He is the head asshole of the place, but he's retired, so I guess Freaky has taken over his status. I know, buddy. So, when you look at this hair right here, and I've got really tight sheets. She fits perfectly on this bit. See right there? Where the corners are, oh, wait, I don't have it right now. Actually, it's a hair big. It's a hair big for her. So now you can see how the mouthpiece hangs out of her mouth. That right there is a bit that's too big. So she needs a 5-inch mouthpiece. You can crack here. See? So now the mouthpiece is going to hit the corners of their mouth. Right there. Okay? I can get away with it a little bit with a large hexagon for a while. Come on over here. See how it's resting? No, that's too big. See how the mouthpiece is out right there? That's too big. She needs a 5. No, you don't want right. You want perfect. Neither one is any good.
So what is that going to apply before you position to the 5?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Let me find this one. My mojo. Yeah, come on over here. Here. Mojo is the 5. Okay. Now I'll tell you, you're going to ask another trainer. You'd be surprised how many of us trainers don't even know this. They're going to go, oh, that doesn't matter. Trust me, it does, because I can name at least 10 horses. Okay. Get it set in her face. This is the right size. See? See how her lips, her corners of her mouth fit right there to the side? See? That's a 5-inch mouthpiece. And look how big she is. You'd think, oh, she's 5 1/4 all the way, right? But you'd be surprised that horses that have small heads that are 5 1/2 because they have a lower hanging palate. Just because of the size of your horse, that doesn't matter. My favorite question when I'm helping people, well, what's the average size mouthpiece? There's not one. There's not one. Yes, nobody ever knew, and even I'll tell you what. I was at Cleveland. This is when I really, well, 2 things happened at Cleveland that day at Blake Myers' little Money and Beaches. We were there and we brought some bits that day. It was a girl, 2 girls, who had 16-hand dasher fangs. And one of them I built to 5 1/4. She said, oh no, he's a big horse and he's 5 1/4 all the way. She come over, that damn bit was hanging out of this horse's mouth by like 1 inch. So he was less than a 5. Our pony sizes were 5 1/2. You don't know how many horses that I put 4 1/2 mouthpieces on. Big horses. So there was another girl who contacted me. This is when it first started. She had this horse's head. It was a big old long head. And you'd think, well, it has a big nose too. So when she said, I spent thousands on bits. Thousands. She said, he has it. And I saw the greatest quote that this guy said in this English book. Because there's only 2 books ever written about bits, and they're both English disciplines. There's no written document up there as far, because I thought, well, I'm going to go off my experience, but I want to make sure, because you know there's Karens. Those are the ones that tell you, well, my name is pronounced Anastasia Lee Stonemeyer. They come up to the announcer's name. They're the ones that are going to point me out and tell me, you know, that's not right. And then I didn't want to research, so I started researching to make sure what I said was everything that had been researched and backed up. That way I don't have somebody coming at me and going like that. Because there's nothing more embarrassing than someone going, well, you know, I sat on the internet 24, 36 hours, and they said such and such article in 1976 on page 47. That's why y'all are laughing, because you know somebody like that, don't you? Trust me. Trivia at the BFA never taught me so much. You know what you're talking about, and the answer is correct, as the Karens will come out. Okay, so going back to this horse. This horse had a big, long head, and his mouth was huge. He was every bit of a 5 3/4, every bit. So we made this combo. Well, at first I thought, well, okay, his mouth is this big, he's got a big old head, he's got a big nose too, so I made the nose bed too big. So she had to send it back. We even got a custom headstall for this guy because he was that big. He was running in the 3 40, and I sent her that bid, and she called me within 2 weeks. She'd taken to a rodeo and was winning in 1 bid with him. That's how much that had changed that horse's life. Does it happen with everyone? No. But if it makes you run a 10th or 2 faster, and your horse is more comfortable, and you have more fun, then why not? The trainers are been the hardest to convince, because they're like, well first I'm going to go, well, I've never thought about that. Well, I didn't either until somebody showed me, until I learned it. Anyway, so with that being said, this is a perfect example of a horse that's a pretty good size when you put a bit on her. That's how you know when you put a bit on her. This is a 5 1/4. See how it sticks out? It's fine. Why did I put that on her? Because I don't have a 5. No, that's a mojo bit. Yeah. I had put that on her, but I hadn't got her made because she's young and I don't know exactly which one I want for her yet. And it'll probably be this one because I like it. But my welders, it's like having a husband that's a horseshoer. Your horses get shod last. My bits get made last. So that is why. It's a good question. It's a very, okay, well, if you're saying this and then you're putting this, you're contradicting yourself. I get it. No. This is the mojo bit, and I had that on her first, and it's the only 5 that I have. Yeah. And I like this mojo bit. It's really good for horses that can't take a shank, that you can't get them to go around the barrel, they keep wanting to stop or something, and they don't like shank bits. The mojo bit is really good because it gives a little more forgiveness right here. You got a little more gag. It's made on the shank. It's made on a leverage shank, but what it does is like horses, and I put a level curve on it and then put this large hexagon so they've got control if I need it, but it won't make them be super light. And we also have a light, an ultra light too, that's a little lighter shank for horses like that. See? Well, the mojo just doesn't have a lot of control. What I'll probably put on her because of the issues that I'm having, fixing to show you, I'll probably put like a long mojo because it comes in a shape. It comes in a shape like this. It's in a 6-inch shank is the long mojo, so I have the control. Because what these leverage do, or I'll back this shank up and give her a little straighter shank, and I'll show you why. Because these 45, it promotes a horse to want to drop their head up. Okay? We don't want her to do that, because she's already trying to hide her face. This is a 45, see how it's backed up? See the shank, this leverage comes in all different. It comes in a 0, which is great. Like you have this one, see how straight that is? That's a 10. Okay? And we back it up. When you straighten the shank up, you get more leverage, you get more reaction, you get a quicker reaction. Horses that are real strong, like this one right here, he's a 20, that's a 25-3. Okay, so when you straighten the shank up, you got more leverage and you get a faster, even faster reaction. Whereas when you back it up, this has kind of got forgiveness, even though you see, you can change the purchase. Here's the deal. You'll go look at this and you'll think, well, that looks just like a Play Hardy Duke bit, right? Well, when you look at it, Play Hardy Duke, it's more in the middle, so it's got a longer purchase. Change the whole functionality of the bit. You move one little thing on these bit shanks, you change the whole functionality of it. So see, mine has a shorter purchase. Shorter purchases mean faster reaction. So the shorter, and this is this between here, the top of where this bit is, to the headstock. That's the purchase, okay? This is the shank right here. But even though I have a short purchase on this, my shank is backed up where it gives some forgiveness, see? Whereas if you look at a straighter shank, like this, see faster reaction. The more I back up this shank, the more gag, more slower kind of reaction. Hence, why the Mojo is really good, because this is like a Kathy James. It's built like a Kathy James. The Kathy James are real straight shanks like this, so it's a faster, quicker reaction, and I never could make it work for my hands, because my hands are fast anyway. So you've got a little more forgiveness here. You got some gag, you got some here, but you also have the quickness, and you don't have to see the Kathy James is like straight from right here all the way back here. So you look at a bit and you think, well, it looks similar, it should work the same way. It doesn't. And I'll tell you something else, junior cow horses do not work for me, but we made one with a combo, and I used it, and I was like, oh, that's not gonna work for me. I've never seen a junior cow horse combo. I'm sure someone has, but I've never seen one. So one of my friends said, you should put a noseband on that. I really need a noseband on this. We did, and I was like, I've never seen one with a noseband on it. And so we did, and I put it on a horse the other day, and I love it. I mean, it has got so much reaction, and you can get a horse picked up, and it works good for me. Why does it work good without the noseband? I don't know. But we put a noseband on it. I saw it took up, and I was like, hey, test this.
What is the noseband you're considering?
Okay, so on the nosebands, on our nosebands, our bits, our nosebands, which we might put a noseband on that horse. Put your hand in, because you're holding it. There you go. There you go. That's what I'm saying. When you're holding a horse like this, and you're holding them, and you don't give them the release, they'll start pushing on those bits. Okay. All right. So our nosebands are only for. I mean, you can make a noseband a little bit controlled, but something I have found about combos is this: you got to be real careful on a combo. Okay. You got to be careful how it ties in, because what ends up happening when you put a combo on your horse and you ask them to come here, come across, a lot of combos, they'll clamp down on a horse's face. It gives a horse the feeling that they're in a bind, like a predator's reached up and grabbed. When that happens, the horse is either fight or flight. Okay? So you got to be real careful on the combo. Whereas our combos, the way they're designed, the way we design them, is they're designed to release the minute the bit engages. The combo noseband is only there to act like a cycle. That's all it's there to do. It's there to keep a horse. You got a horse that you can't get his butt up underneath him. You can't keep him collected. And there's a lot. Thank you.
You said that the noseband goes.
Yes, but it does not clamp down. The minute that engages, it releases. And you can't see it real good. That doesn't fit her. It engages, it later releases. The minute that noseband, the minute this bit engages, that noseband releases. The only thing it does, and I think this has a shorter noseband, let me put the bigger one over here. need to do your nose. See how that drops? Can't really tell it, but it does. See? It drops. It doesn't engage. See? Whereas when you look at other combos, and the only time when I really want to engage is when I do this. See, it even drops there. It's not designed to do that. It's designed to let go. It's designed to release unless I'm really having to pull back on her. To me, it's more like a predatory instinct. You get this plant down when you go to engage. See, that doesn't squeeze down our nose. When you go to engage and that pulls down on your nose, to me that simulates a predator response. Grab the nose, because that's what predators do. They either grab it here or they grab it by the nose. Okay? And to me, that gets a horse where they're wanting to fight that because they think it's a instinctual thing. Come here. It's an instinctual thing. And I don't think horses, even domesticated horses, don't get away from an instinctual thing. They're out to protect themselves and protect you. So to me, that's what I think about that, because I already got into an online Facebook deal on the other. Well, he was just trying to pick a fight with me and with her. Yeah. Well, he wanted to start a fight with me. He was mad at me anyway. I know, not really. The feeling is not mutual on that one. Somebody's going to go calling. His ears are going to be burning tonight, so are mine. Anyway. So, when I go with her, so when you look at her right here, let me get over here where y'all can see. So I really worked hard with her, but when I go like this, see, this mare has been trained to pop her head. See? Come on, do it for me, Belle. Don't be good. She's been trained to ride around with her head over a rope like this. Like this. There. Belle, help me out here. We've been really working it. She's been trained to come around here. See if I can get her moving a little bit. She'll do it. She's looking around. See how she's pulling her head down to the chest? And you'll see it here in a minute when I lower her. There we go. And I've been really working on trying to get this mare's head up a little bit more and more elevated. And so I spend the time doing kind of like this right here. And working on getting her head up like that. I really work on getting her to lift her head like this. See how she's pulling on me? She's trying to get her head down. I make her release like that to really work on it. Yeah, Foxy's like, hey, I'm more important than what she's saying. She's better now than she was, but you'll see it in a minute. Because I want her, when she stops, I don't want her to stop like this with her head down. I really want her to stop with her head up a little bit, a little more elevated. Because they balance with their head and neck. So when they balance over the top like that, she goes dumping off the front end. Yes. So, yes, and when that happens, I like to get over the top of them and have to really pull them up because you've got to get them out of that habit. It's a hard habit to get them out of. Yes. But when you start adding speed to that, it becomes a problem. Okay, Pat. Come on up here on inside of them. So you're going to come up here with your horse like this. Oh, I know. That's your girlfriend. All right, now you're going to get his nose. Keep your hands up. Put your hand up higher. There you go. Good, like that. Now come across. Good, like that. Now, when you come across, be aware that you're not going to come across and counter arc on the back side. You're just going to come across. Hang on. Just stop right there. You're not going to come right. It's okay though. You're not going to come right here and go like this. Okay? You're not going to counter arc. You're going to come around. When you come around, you're going to come around with a neck ring like that. Okay? Alright. Get your hands up. There you go. Get his nose. See, same thing. We'll pass that pole like, okay. There you go. Now come across. Come across. You got your hands still up. You don't want to come across. You're like, you'd be surprised how hard this is. It doesn't look hard. It's very different. Yes. Okay. Get his nose. Now on the back side, see, you're wanting to push over. Okay, there you go. Keep going. Lift him up. There you go. Now come across. Good. Much better. Just neck right across. Yep. That's good. Now see how when he stops and engages now, he's more engaged. He doesn't push as hard, does he? No. I've really worked with this mare, and look how good she's been. She won't even do it for me. She won't go like this, because when I first got her, she was really, yeah. Okay, now let's try it. I won't get out of the way here. I'm in the way of the video. Sorry. No, I know. When I lift my hand, that's to engage it. Good. Now come across. Good. Better. Good. See how now why I like short reins? Because if you have long reins, it's going to mess up your center of gravity. It's going to throw you back. This is my favorite. I've listened to lots of talk up here in the stands. Just take your reins out. You won't get his face then. I'm like, oh God, I just don't want to hear this. Because then you watch them and they're like, I'm like, that did not work. So I like short reins. Well, I'll have a separate set of running reins. How short? I like them where when I lift that horse up like this, it's that far. Okay? I like them short. And you'll see here in a minute what I'm talking about. Okay, now Logan. I'm going to get over here so they can, yeah. Huh? Yeah. Get his head straight. You don't want his head curved. There we go. Good. Lift your hand. Good. You gotta lift your hand on the back. See why we like short reins? Lift your hand. Better. Good. Get his head straight. There you go. That looked nice. Okay, so. Yeah. Whoa. That worked good, didn't it? Alright, so I'm going to move the poles out of the way so you can run. You can make your little run. Well, he's still stiffing you a little. When you're working slow, huh? Yeah. Right, we want, and he'll bend. You just got to keep working with him. What you want to do is just get his nose. You want to keep his head straight. Going to the barrel because you still got his head cranked over. Yeah, yeah. So we're going to take out the reins some more so you don't have to worry about that. Okay. I know he does. He's got a lot of power. Well, but he's better now. I'm going to pull this up some for you. to try something different. Come on, Bill. Anybody questions? Thank you. What a good helper you are. Anybody have any questions? It did. We're not quite there. He still was a little bit stiff. No, here. He'll be all right. Yeah, thank you. And I'm going to be around after I get into the clinic, so if you want horses size, if you want to try something, he's a lot of horse, but that's okay. He's a very nice. Hey, we just want to make sure that he's safe. Safety always comes first. I know. He's like, I'm done, right? He's like, I'm done, right? He's like, oh no, shit, I'm not done. Excuse me. Darn. Watch mine. That's just adjectives, but you. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. That's a good one. That's okay. That's funny. Let's try that. Just slowly. I don't want you to go fast. I want to see how he does with the nose beat. And that doesn't help. Well, that's not a very big mouthpiece, but let's see how he feels in that. Because I can make a different mouthpiece that will help you. What I put on him was a regular shank 45-degree leverage combo. And I like to do that. If you got a horse that's kind of ripping their nose out, that nose band will help kind of get them collected and back up underneath themselves. Just slowly, let's see. You know, because he's wanting to root his nose at you too. Yeah. Don't get his nose. Keep his head straight. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. See that, how that helped that horse a lot? He's not ripping his. Much better. We won the barrel race! Woohoo! Now you can see. Yeah. He's like, whoa. Yes, ma'am. That's a lot better. And so what I can do with this leverage deal is straighten up the shank a little to a 25-degree. And maybe put that slow square twist in it so you'll have plenty. And see, now you see the changes? Did you see the changes on this horse from when we first started? She had trouble stopping him. He was resentful. We figured out that his mouth is too big. So that's going to help him tremendously to get him the right size mouthpiece. And then what I did was put a nose band. And the reason why I did is because he was rooting his nose. He wasn't just going down like this and pushing. He was rooting his nose and going down. That helps that because the nose bands that I use, they're a lot of nose bands. They're pretty stiff, but they're still extra soft. But it kind of helps. And did you see the snap on the back side? How he didn't hang with his head going? He stayed straight and stayed up underneath himself. So like for an older lady or a young kid who don't have a lot of power in their arms, there's a lot of different options that we have. That's why when you go look at our website, it's very overwhelming. You're like, oh my God. Am I getting too loud? Okay. You're like, oh my God. It gets too... He's so funny. I like him. He's cool. That's what everybody says. But you know, I'm definitely like literally, I can't hear my tongue. But anyway, so as you can see, you can kind of put that nose band and keep them together and give you for the older, I don't want to say old ladies, because I got in trouble trying to sell a horse. I said, this will be perfect old ladies. Now let me tell you, them women got me big time. They were like, old lady, who are you calling old lady? And then I went to the senior pro and got outrun by a lot of older ladies, and I'm like, yeah. I tell you, it was really cool. I told the story in Florida about Nancy Brandon. They loved it. They laughed so hard because when I first met Nancy Brandon, and I have to say this story about her. When I first met fast and outrun everybody. Yes, that was spade. So we were at the AHA finals, me and my first husband. Yes, I'm a two-time loser. Yeah, and it's because of this and my horse habit. Okay, so we were there and I was in the same drag as her. And she was on that mare. She got a little pouch right here on her saddle. She takes her teeth out, front, upper, and lower. And you know, she ain't bigger than 90 pounds soaking wet. No, she takes her teeth out, she puts them in her pouch, and she goes and wins the barrel race. I mean, just kicks everybody's butt. And my husband said, well, if you can do that at her age. Oh, she straps herself in too. She strapped herself in. He said, if you can do that at her age, then I'll still be with you. Well, he's not, so I guess I won't. Anyway, but my favorite one of all, and she told me this herself. So she can call me and say, you should have told us. She said this herself. So at the senior prom, I guess she had to have surgery one year. And so they were there, I guess at the awards banquet. I don't know where exactly, but it was at the senior profiles. She had to have surgery the next year, and she's in the like the 70 or plus deal, and she won it a few years, and she said, now listen, ladies, I've got to go have surgery next year, so y'all all have a chance now. So Nancy, I love her. Yeah, this is the only woman that don't have air conditioning in her house. She's like, how old is she? Like 60 or 70? Yeah, don't have air conditioning, won't run air conditioner in her trailer or nothing. Oh, well, I'm sure. Yeah, because she's, you know, like tiny. Anyway, so that's kind of, now you see the difference. You know, I like to make believers out of people in my program. But, and again, addressing your question later on about, you know, the bigger circles and stuff like that. That works in some people's programs. It doesn't work in mine. But I always tell people, and I had winning runs a long time ago, way before live Facebook. We would have been a whole lot better if we'd known, if we were ahead of our time on winning runs. So winning runs, what it was is we invited trainers down to do a training deal in a video. And people could subscribe to it, to getting the videos once a month. And what I learned in editing those videos, because I had to watch them over and over and over, literally, I could tell you exactly what they were saying right when they were fixing to say it. I had a $60,000 education and a training education, and I would try the different things that these women would share and men would share with me, because we had Joy Kermine on there and Bob Lusnor. Would try the different things and the suggestions that they were making and the different drills, and I found what would work for me and what doesn't work for me. Now, when you go back and watch those old winning runs that I did, because I had a segment on the second half, you'll see my training has changed, and it's a whole different style. And you know, I always like to watch people, especially when we go to BFA, especially when it's in Oklahoma City. When we go to BFA, I would go sit in the warm-up pen and watch everybody. Because I learned so much, like watching Craig Brooks, like watching Brandon Collins. And I use those men as an example because, you know, those men, they're more competitive, and their training style is just as good as any woman I've ever met. You know, there's some that, you know, get a little bit handsy, but I will say the men in barrel racing, you know, I've always thought, you know, the WPRA needs to let men in and let them run barrels, because I always want the best horse to win. Now, with that being said, to not have a man win the American yet has really surprised me, because I thought it would be a man that had won it by now, because some of those men ride just as good, if not better, than some of us women. So that's my personal opinion. Everybody else has their own. So. Oh, absolutely. My favorite is when they have the husbands, you know, you think you can do a better deal, and watch them. Yeah. My boyfriend is not entering that, because he says this scares the hell out of me.
So Shirley, what's your take on, you know, us older ladies on fast horses, you know? And then you watch these people that really are trick riders.
Yes.
Where they're going into the barrel already with their legs.
Yeah.
Like this, like this. I don't get it.
Well, I mean, there's nothing worse than having someone who has poor horsemanship. riding, and I call it the old crap method. I'm too long-legged and I don't want to end up the dirt and eat it. There's nothing that replaces good horsemanship. Good horsemanship will get you better than bad horsemanship. And when you look at that kind of riding, it causes bad habits for the horse. Whereas if we're as trainers, if you're talking about trainers having bad horsemanship, when you look at people trying to ride behind them or trying to buy horses, it's really difficult to see them go on and do long because there's nothing that ever. Foundation is everything on a horse. A good horse with good foundation that can do all the things that I want him to do. There's nothing that can replace that. There's no rush, there's no quick fix, there's no quick bit, there's no miracle in that part. Because when I can get on these horses and I can get back to the foundation that they have under my chances of working with them are going to be way faster.
You know, I like to, take Cassie Lowry, for example. Don't do that trick ride.
I tell you what, Cassie's one of my favorite people to watch have a horse turn a barrel. She makes her horses turn so beautiful and so smooth. And if you watch how Cassie goes into a run and a turn, she does it just like that. And she rides with her hands forward and up. Yes, and Cassie, I will have to say this. Cassie's real quiet. And she cares about her horses and she wants them to do the best. I'll tell you something else. Cassie is a winner because Cassie pays attention to little details. I learned a lot of stuff. I went to her house back in March or April and we discussed a lot of bits. She has some of my bits that we made for her, plus one of our leather bits. And I learned a lot from Cassie. Cassie is a wealth of knowledge. She's not a real people person, I don't think, so that's why she has a lot of people's around. Cassie's a wealth of knowledge, and I'll tell you something else. Cassie's horses turn a barrel prettier than I've ever seen horses turn a barrel. Yeah. Her horses will turn a barrel, and that's why we call her the GOAT, because she is the greatest of all time. She reminds me a lot of Celie Whitcomb Ray.
Yes.
She has that kind of relationship with her horses. She doesn't take any more than 6 or 7 horses a year that are hers. She doesn't try to ride 25, 30 head. To me, you don't have a personal relationship. If you get on your horses 15, 20 minutes a day, you don't know everything about them. And that's one of the reasons why I don't train professionally anymore, because I can't make money without riding that many horses. One, my body won't take it. Two, I can't figure a horse out. Horses that are getting cold now in training programs, there's a lot of things going on. And yes, they may not make maturity horses, but I don't think they're spending enough time with them, some of them. And and all well, they gotta make a living. Let me tell you, training horses is the most humbling, most non-appreciated job that there is. I mean, if it's not the horse making you want to have a drinking problem, it's your owners, or both. I'll never forget my horse for one time asked me, he said, "You don't drink or smoke?" He said, "You're the first horse trainer I ever seen that didn't drink or smoke." But it's hard. It is a thankless job because you can have, like for instance, the dash to fame that I was talking about. I won a fraternity in Ada, Oklahoma in probably 2 weeks before Fort Smith, and I won it big. Set a ring record there in Ada. I won it big, like it was half a second. I was like, yes, I'm going to Fort Smith and win it this year. I saw the fence and turned it to the eye. I didn't win nothing. I said, I will go home. I'm embarrassed. I'm loaded. I'm a trainer. Yeah, that's how humbling it is for young horses. I communicated to this. This is what these trainers, and this is why you think some of these trainers are just nuts. And this is the reason why. It's like taking a bunch of children, preschoolers, feeding them a bunch of Snickers bars. We go to Walmart, we turn them out in the Walmart toy section, and we expect everyone to stay in a line. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, don't touch the toys. And we just walk down the toy aisle with sugar. That is what it's like training fraternity. That is not the way it's happening. It's like, whoa! Anyway, is there any more questions?
So, back on, your work skills like the type of.
Yes.
What is, like, say, you got to do work here, but.
I like a straighter shank. If they can't take a straighter shank, I would go to the mojo. But basically what you're going to have to do is kind of play around with some stuff. Something that we can pick that horse's head up that won't cause them to be distracted from their job. That they'll respect. Yes. Right. Well, we may have to try some stuff and then try some more stuff and then kind of, what has worked for me to kind of get their head up. Like the Hexagon, and we're the only ones that make the large Hexagon with the cricket. That large Hexagon, I like it. I like it, in my preference, I prefer it over the twisted now. Because I find a lot of horses that I put the twisted on, and here's my theory. And there's no way to really test it, kind of, sort of. We have a lot of luck with the Hexagon. Is this. I think we put twisted on our horses so much, too big or too small of a mouthpiece on them, too long, that it's caused some scarring on the corners of their mouth and made them real resentful. And I also know you must get that twisted where it fits each horse. Like this mare with the Hexagon, I wouldn't put a twisted on her ever. Because I don't want her to get resentful of that twisted on the corner, like a 5 1/4, like I have on her now that's too big. That one we have to fit it perfect too.
Okay, that's what I use.
Yeah. You want to make sure the square, the large Hexagon you can get away with if it's a little big or small, and for a time. Okay. Right. So she's probably got a little mouth. The Charmaines are all 5 inch. So she may be a 4 1/2 inch mouthpiece. The slow square twist I like a lot, but it's not one that I would run in. Have I seen people to run in? Yes. Is this horse probably need to be trained in it? Yes. He needs 2 different bits. And that's another thing. I like to practice in one after I've got my horse where he's rolling, older, like this horse down there. I'll practice in a heavier bit, more severe bit, and I'll run in a lighter one. And people go, why? Well, it goes back to we've got adrenaline running through our body. We get a little more heavy-handed. And you don't want to scare these horses by running in something with more control. Because if you've done your homework at home and you've got a lot enough, they're going to pay attention. Because we don't want to distract them. You know what I'm saying? I don't like running that slow square twist, but I have sent people to go run it because their horses are so heavy. We had a Suncross come to the house, Suncross Buckskin Yoga. He was so heavy and disrespectful. That was the only thing that we could get away with on him. It may not be on him forever, but it may be a practice bit, and then we go maybe to a small Hexagon with a port, with a straighter shank. Something that won't, I don't want to hurt a horse. Like I had someone ask me, well, people are like, do you make the mule bit? No. Do you make the rebar? No. Do you make the, whatever, the screw? The one that's a screw. It's actually a screw. I'm like, no. I'm not going to tear a horse's mouth up because I like my horses. And they're the reason why. Those kind of horses right there are the reason why that when you get one here that you can't find a bit for because somebody just tore their mouth up like that and made them so, and they didn't look at other details. I want to look at the details. There's a lot I can do with the bits rather than, make something hurts them in their mouth. Because you wouldn't want that in your mouth. And I don't want to put that in my horse's mouth. I like that mojo bit. I do. I make a DD bit too that's kind of, what it is a glorified ring bit. And I make that too. And it's okay. It's good. I put it on her. But I like that mojo bit. I like it as a step-up bit for these colts. That's what I put her in, and she accepted it really good. Yeah. Because it probably brought ring snaffle or something like that. Yeah. And get your curve chains here. Where did you find this one?
And speaking of
Is it too small?
It's too small.
Let's look at it.
Well, I don't
We got, well, okay. He's the big paint horse. Okay. Take a picture of it on him and send it to me and send him that bit back and make it a bigger nose thing.
Yeah, I think just because it's like sitting right here.
Yes. 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 Yeah, this Terry's little paint horse had a real big, he's got a big old face. And he needed, and we even made that a little bit extra long. But we'll look at it again. Okay? Yeah.
He was not happy with that.
No. But he didn't want to stop.
He
Yeah.
didn't want to stop.
Yeah, okay. And I can't remember what mouthpiece did we put in there. Was it a twisted or was it a hexagon? Take a picture of the mouthpiece too. You can send it back to me and I'll fix it for you. If we've got to make a different mouthpiece, like I think it was a hexagon with a cricket.
It fits perfect.
Perfect. The nose thing. Yeah. Yes. And I know we've got to make him a big, and we even made him. He got big old nose. Yes. Yeah. That's why I didn't send one with you because we never could have done it.
Yeah, he's got a big old.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I know what to get you. Okay, I'm gonna turn this on. Let's see what time it is. Good, we got plenty of time. Hang on just a minute here. Let me get Matt's order and then I'll take questions.
Hey, how are you doing, by the way? I'm here. My phone is in the trailer. Hey Terry, hey Maddie.
Had a good run today.
Thank you. My husband got more. I wish I bought mine because Addie's got
fall asleep. She did fall asleep, okay. Now she's awake, but.
What?
Look at the horses with their back.
And she's done.
With the clinic. Yeah. What size mouthpiece is it? No, it's the 5 and older, maybe 5 and a half. She had to make me, on the paint horse, she had to make me one, but I got to send it back to the kids too. Yeah. So she doesn't even I just feel like I have that's how I felt today. I had no control around anything.
But in this pen, I go back to it a little bit, and it might give me
Yeah.
because I'm confident here that now I'm out.
Yeah.
But when he looks at he just feels like he's nope. That's how I feel. No control. Okay, ladies. Good night, girls. Drive safe.
Too long.
Yeah.